Howdy, how's it going? Welcome back, or howdy if you're new. If you have an ROG Ally X, I'm sure by now you've probably heard about these handheld DIY TMR Hall effect joystick kits. I'm going to tell you if they live up to my standards since now I have the final production model. You guys know I already did the review on the pre-production models and I worked hand in hand with HandHeldDiy to make sure that they were going to deliver the best experience possible. And did they deliver? Find out in this video, and also I'll give you my full walkthrough on how to install these and set them up for the first time. You do need to make sure you follow the instructions from start to finish to have the best overall experience. And also I'm going to answer all of your previous questions and concerns so you have all the information that you need before you dive into this thing. So let's go ahead and get started. Huge shout out to the channel OGs. Thank you guys so much for all your love and support. All right, so now let's go ahead and get started. These are TMR Hall effect joysticks. TMR is basically a type of Hall effect stick. It's a little bit better. These are drop-in replacements, but they do require a little bit of calibration, which only takes you a few minutes to do. There's no soldering. Pretty simple. It's pretty straightforward. Now, the stock modules that the Ally X comes with, there's nothing really wrong with these. They are Alps sticks. They're not too bad actually at all. Didn't really have much problems with them, but some people over time might experience drift, and also some people wished it would have had a little bit tighter spring. Well, these new TMR joystick kits basically solve all those problems. They're going to use a much tighter spring in here, and they also are going to last a lot longer. They're rated for a lot more presses and a lot more rotations. They're basically just an overall better option. So the modules that they're using are actually K silvers, and these are the JS16 modules. These do differ from the original OG Ally modules by a lot. Some people may have gotten these mixed up a little bit just because of the stick design up top. It kind of might have thrown a few people off. But these are so far different. These are much larger than these. And one of the caveats that we originally had with the OG Ally will not happen on here, which means you won't have any type of interference when you press these triggers. So when you're pressing these triggers and you have the joysticks in any direction, it's not going to bring it back or change the direction in any way. These things are truly perfect in that sense. Now let's talk about a few other things. Now when you're putting these in, they are truly designed to work for the stock sticks, of course, and they work great, don't have any issues. But you guys know that everyone loves modding, and of course when you start looking at mods, you start looking at joystick caps, you start looking at all kinds of accessories and stuff. So I'm going to show you how to make sure, at the end of this video by the way, how to make sure that your PS5 thumbstick caps work perfectly, no matter if you're going to use the magnetic style or if you're going to use the PS5 clear ones or just the stock sticks. I'm going to give you pro tips for all of it. All right, so let's go ahead and get started. Let's unbox this and I'll show you exactly what's included in the box so you know what to expect. So inside the box, they're going to give you everything you need right here. They're packaged well. They're sealed up nice. They come well protected, nice documentation, cool little card thanking you, foam inserts, and these things are really, really well protected. So even when UPS and USPS throws these things off the balcony, they should arrive perfect. So inside the box, this is what you get. Take this out, and you have even the tools that you need to open this bad boy up. You've got your guitar pick, you've got some tweezers, and you even have a handy dandy screwdriver. Oh, and we'll just drop everything. All right, so now that you know everything that comes in the box, let's go ahead and turn our Ally off. You don't need to drain the battery or anything like that. Just go ahead and shut her down. And then you will take your handy dandy screwdriver that they included, and you're gonna flip this thing over. And now you're gonna remove all of the screws on this back plate. What I recommend doing is laying the screws out where they came out. That way you know exactly where they go. If there's any longer links, this will help. It's just good practice to do so. Now, if you're using a stock back plate, this bottom screw is not going to come out. It's a captive screw, so just keep that in mind. All the other ones will come out except that. Sometimes with aftermarket back plates, these top screws can be a little pesky and they don't want to just come off. So no problems, just make sure that you've unscrewed it all the way. Here's my pro tip for getting the back plate off. So you can of course use the guitar pick method and get under there and kind of release those clips. But what I like to do is get my fingers along this top right here and just kind of pop it a little bit, pulling it outwards and then up, and that'll release it a lot easier from these clips. And then you can come over here and you can do the same. You get your fingernails in there, start a corner if you can. If you can't start a corner, you can take this guitar pick, gently try to wedge it in there like that. It's sometimes a little tricky, but you'll get it if you just are patient. One side doesn't work, you can come over here to the other side and you can help it release like that. And then sometimes you can just take a little bit of pressure off and then it will come out. So before you start flipping and ripping, here's a very important tip. You need to flip this thing over gently, and look, there's a ribbon cable right here. You need to flip this lever upwards that way, and that will release it just like that. I did it with my finger in one motion, but it just slides in there and you can flip that lever back down to lock it in place. Now, one other thing to notate is right here, there is a light sensor that I would recommend going ahead and covering up with some tape, like some black tape or something. Because what's gonna happen is the second you take this back plate off and light gets sensed right here, when you turn this device back on for the first time, after you put it all back together, you're gonna need to plug in the power for a few seconds for it to reset the light sensor. All right, so once you've got your back plate off and you're ready to install your modules, you don't need to disconnect the battery. So if you do, it's up to you, it's your choice, but you don't have to. There's only 3 screws on each one of these, and there's a ribbon cable on each one as well. Go ahead and flip the lever on this side, that way, and then gently pull that ribbon cable out. Same over here, except this ribbon cable flipper is going to get flipped down towards you, and you'll simply pull that out. Now over here on the screws, this top screw is a little longer than the rest of them, so keep that in mind. Remember, always keep your screws where you know they will go back in the same spot. All right, and so once you've got the screws removed, this is how you remove one of the stock modules. Just push it up from the bottom and it'll come out like that. And then the thumbstick cap comes off real easy. Set that aside. Go ahead and make sure the screw is tightened down. Sometimes these can get a little loose, so just go in there and give it a little ugga-dugga, and that's pretty much it. And then these are labeled left and right, so you know which one is the left, which one's the right. So you'll basically take the module and you'll gently spin it around, push it back down, and you're good to go. And then you can put this back together in the reverse order. Remember the long screw for this side, and what I also recommend doing is not tightening every screw down first. You want to go in a little bit at a time so that they are all equally torqued, and that will make sure that you have the most perfect seated joystick. All right, so now you can go and tighten them all up a little bit at a time and then do a final little torque down. And so there we go. Now we're done. All right, so now we're going to connect the ribbon cable back, and then we're going to flip that lever down, make sure it's pressed in all the way, flip that lever down, and then you're going to do the exact same thing over here on this side. Now that you've got everything installed, we're going to go ahead and flip this bad boy over. We're going to leave the back plate off for now because we're actually going to have to calibrate for the first time anyways with these K1 and K2 buttons. Now these buttons are actually a feature. They are not a bug. These are very important because if you've ever upgraded Steam Deck joysticks, they have these same type of buttons as well, because in Steam, there's not really a joystick calibration method for software. And this helps you have the most success possible if you're going to be using Linux or Steam OS. So definitely thank HandHeldDiy for installing this feature because it's the only one that I know of that offers it. All right, so once you're back in Windows, you're going to pull up the handheld gamepad tester. I'll leave links below for that. And the reason you want to do this first before you start messing around with Armory Crate is you need to calibrate that hardware before you touch the software side, or else things won't be as expected. So go ahead and look and see on this right side. You can see that my axes are set to 0.0002 all the way across on both sides. Now, when you get yours, you will need to find the center spot and calibrate it. Also, you'll need to calibrate the outer dead zones as well. Let's go ahead and start with step 1, which is calibrating those outer zones. So we're going to go to K1 right here on this side right here, okay? K1 first. You'll press K1 and you see where it starts blinking. Now you're going to take it and rotate it around about 3 or 4 times, making sure that you meet the edges fully all the way around, okay? Once that's done, you will press the K1 button once more, and now the blinking light has gone off. Now you're good for the outer zones. Now you're going to calibrate the inner zone where the little dot is, okay? So what you're going to need to do is to hold it in the position with one hand and just kind of check and make sure that your finger is resting on that K2 button. Once it's perfectly centered in the middle, you're going to tap the K2 button only a single time, okay? It might take you a time or two to get this thing perfectly centered like that, but don't worry, you'll get it. If it takes a few tries, no worries at all, okay? If you have any problems getting that done, either drop by my Discord or the Handheld DIY Discord, and one of us will definitely be able to help you out. So now the next step is you're going to open up Armory Crate. Press this little button up here. This will open up your Armory Crate. You're going to go to the Calibration tab at the gear icon at the top, and then you're going to find where it says Calibration right here, okay? Now let's just go ahead and do this right stick right here. You're going to wait a few seconds, make sure it's centered. Go ahead and give it a little slap or two. Make sure it comes right back to center. If it doesn't, exit this and go back in the gamepad tester and make sure that you've got that just right on the center zone. You'll only need to do this once, by the way. It's not like you'll need to do this every day. It's just one time. So once you get that done, you're going to hit Y, and then that will reset the calibration settings to factory. So you'll have the best possible chance of success. Now you're going to hit A, and you'll wait for it to center again. Hit A again. Now you're going to press it all the way to each direction and release it when it tells you. All right, now that that's done, you're going to rotate the stick in a circle 3 times, and you're going to make sure that you're pressing it all the way out on the outer edge. That way it's perfectly done. All right, so now that we are done, you're going to hit the right button and go to done. You can do another calibration just to double check your work and to make sure it's good to go, but I don't think you're going to need that at all. So now let's go ahead and minimize that. We'll pull our gamepad tester back up, wiggle our joystick, and let's check out if we're making perfect contact, and we are. Look at that. Perfect. We're actually going outside of the bounds on the diagonal directions, and that's important because if you're playing certain games, if you have a perfect circle, you will not be able to run in those diagonal directions. So that's one of the advantages of having a joystick like this that gives you extra range of motion, is that you can run in those diagonal directions. Yeah, I'll put up something on screen so you can see a better representation of what Handheld DIY had to say about that, and it might bring things into focus for you a little bit more. Also, another thing to notate is circularity rate or error rate. Okay, so when you hear about error rate like this right here, error rate doesn't mean bad, okay? Just because something has a lower error rate doesn't mean that it's more accurate or it's better. That's basically giving you how it stays around that outer circle. So if it goes out of that outer circle, it's going to have a higher error rate because it's meeting outside of the normal range. Now here's, I guess, a good comparison is like, if you have a controller that has a tight circle and a 0% error rate, it's going to be a little difficult, like I said, to run in those games. So there's trade-offs for that. The error rate might make you feel better about yourself, and it might make you think that you've got a better set of sticks, but not at all. Now, if you want to lower this error rate, there are ways to lower this error rate. There's also ways to virtually limit that to a 0% dead zone, but it does require a little bit of software and a little bit of FAFO. All right, so one of the places that you can go in and also further fine-tune these joysticks is in this configure option right here for control mode. You'll click on gamepad mode, and then you can go to your right or your left stick. And I would recommend making sure that these are set at default settings. Dead zones. Make sure you have 0 dead zone. That's important for most people to have accurate sticks on center and not jumpy, okay? This will help with first-person shooters if you're using a sniper rifle or any type of tight movement off center. Now, if you want to limit that outer threshold, you can lower this to 90 or 85, and it will lower the error rate and lower your outer threshold. And that also might help make you feel better, but you don't need to do that. I don't do it. You probably shouldn't either, but maybe you have a specific reason where you need to do it, and that's how you would, okay? And then anti-dead zone, you don't need to worry about that at all either. And like I said, do that for both sides and you're pretty much good to go. All right, so now let's answer the most waited for question, and that is exactly how in the heck do you get the PS5 thumbstick caps to work without rubbing, and how do you get the Xbox Elite style thumbstick caps on here as well? So here we go. The official documentation and recommendation of Handheld DIY is to use the stock thumbstick caps. So this mod is completely at your own risk and completely unrelated to Handheld DIY. So cut the video and here we go. This is my portion right here, and I'm doing this because I love you guys and I want to make sure that I have it all in one video so you don't have to watch multiple videos to figure this out. Okay, so here we go. The stock Ally X joysticks right here, okay? From base to height, it's about 20.5 millimeters or so from the bottom of this to the tip of the stick, okay? With these right here, the new ones from Handheld DIY, if you measure these up, they're about 20.6, maybe 20.5. It's within 0.001, so that's absolutely more than enough room to make the stock ones work without rubbing. That's why I said they were designed for that. The tolerances are already super tight with these. People still had some rubbing, but here's how you get rid of that. You're going to take a little drill bit and you're going to deepen the hole. And that's simply because there's two ridges on some of these on the inside, on the very bottom, that you need to smooth down in order to get that extra 0.01 clearance to let that thing slide down all the way. That's how you do it. Simple as that. Deepen the hole. And that's going to lead me into the next topic, is how do you get the Elite Series style thumbstick caps working? Now, these are not from an Xbox. They might look like it, but they're not. This is from an Xbox Elite Series, and these actually screw on. So you will not be able to make the screw-on tips work. These are PS5 magnetic thumbstick caps, and these are real easy to do once you mod this stick, okay? So I showed you, it's about a 20.6 or 20.5, give or take, on the base to the tip. You're going to need to shave some off to make these fit. Let's go ahead and pull this one off right here. I'm going to show you how much I had to shave off. So I got a razor blade and I laid this thing down on like a flat surface, not on a screen, but on a flat surface. You don't want to do it at like an angle like this because you won't get a solid cut. But go on like the corner of a table. You're going to chop that tip off, and you're going to end up with a stick height of about 19.5 from base to tip, maybe 19.4. And you will be able to slide these down and they should bottom out. If they don't, you might need to shave off the sides a little bit. I had to shave off the sides on these, my pre-production models, and this will allow you to slide that down. Totally do not advise doing this, but you guys are crazy and I'm crazy and we're all going to just mod stuff and break the rules. So that's how you do it. Not hard. I'll put a follow-up video on this because I have been using these magnetic sticks. They work really good, with one caveat. Some of these caps come off kind of easy, so you could put a little piece of tape under it like that and it will hold them on better, and they are not interchangeable with the Xbox ones at all. So just make sure that you keep that in mind. All right, so here's a little bit of proof showing you that you can get these to work without having any issues or caveats. These work great for me. I haven't had any problems with them. I'm getting the exact same error rate / circularity rate that I got on my stock sticks. I don't have any issues with them. They play absolutely great once you get the stick height just right. It does require a little bit of FAFO, of course. And this is the clear purple ones, the clear ones. All those are going to work the exact same way, but you know, there's specific instructions for each one. So if you're going to use the magnetic style, those require a lot more FAFO. But if you're going to use the clear ones, these are the easiest pretty much that you can get. If you want to use the stock sticks, that's definitely the easiest and there's no FAFO, no modding required. But yeah, this is just something I wanted to show you, and these sticks do truly live up to my standards. They feel absolutely amazing. These springs are super tight. I play almost daily, pretty much every day, and I love them. Like seriously, they meet my expectations. They do get my full CPPC tech stamp of approval. You guys are really gonna love these Handheld DIY joysticks right here. You can't go wrong with them. They simply are amazing. They won't let you down. So I hope this answers all your questions. These handheld DIY TMR joystick kits are truly the best. I know that term is thrown around way too loosely these days by reviewers, and it straight up makes me furious because not everything is the best, but these things are absolutely amazing. I love them. I put my full stamp of approval. I thank them for using my channel logo colors. They are the GOAT for that. Absolutely amazing. Go check them out below. If you want to buy yourself a set of these, please use my coupon code and the referral links below. It helps out the channel a great deal. And I really thank you guys for watching till the end. You guys are the GOAT. Much love, and also much love to the channel OGs and the recent subs and the recent members. Man, I love all of you. You guys make this so worthwhile and fun to do. And I look forward to hearing your comments below. And until the next one, I hope you have a good afternoon, good evening, or good night.